Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at a sometimes controversial spell from the player's handbook, Charm Person. Actually, first we're going to start with the Druid version of the spell, Charm Person or Mammal. We start with this one because it's the one that gives the main information in the player's handbook. So Charm Person or Mammal, level 2 spell, 80-foot range, duration special, one person or mammal is the area of effect, verbal and somatic components. I always thought it was interesting there's no material component to a Charm Person. 4-segment casting time and a saving throw negates. This spell will affect any single person or mammal it is cast upon. The creature then will regard the druid who casts the spell as a trusted friend and ally, to be heeded and protected. The spell does not enable the druid to control the charmed animal as if it were an automaton, but any word or action of the druid will be viewed in the most favorable way. Thus, a charmed creature would not obey a suicide command, but might believe the druid if assured that the only chance to save the druid's life is to hold the onrushing red dragon back for just a round or two. Note the spell does not empower the druid with linguistic capabilities, so he can't communicate with it through the spell. Duration of the spell is a function of the charmed creature's intelligence and is tied to the saving throw. The spell may be broken if a saving throw is made, and this saving throw is checked on a periodic basis according to the creature's intelligence. So there we go. Intelligence 3 or less once every 3 months, 4 to 6 every 2 months, intelligence 7 to 9 once per month, or one month, 10 to 12 every 3 weeks he gets a check, 13 to 14 every 2 weeks, 15 to 16 every 1 week, 17 every 3 days, 18 every 2 days, and 19 or more every single day. The higher the intelligence on the creature in question, the better chance it has of throwing off the charm. I like that. I thought that was a nice touch. Now we continue on to the next page. If the druid harms or attempts to harm the charmed creature by some overt action, or if a dispel magic is successfully cast upon the charmed creature, the charm will be broken automatically. So you don't need a saving throw if the druid tries to actually harm it. The spell affects the mammalian creatures, mammalian animals, and persons. This term person includes all bipedal human and humanoid creatures of approximate man size or less than man size, including those affected by the hold person spell. If the recipient of the charm person, charm mammal spell makes its saving throw versus the effect is negated. A lot of uses for this spell, very coveted spell, especially in the earliest days of D&D. This is the one the MU always wanted, because the idea was then you would charm the biggest orc in the group, and he would become your bodyguard. And why not? We'll charm this guy. If the charm takes, great, I've got a bodyguard. If the charm doesn't take, well, we're no worse than we were. And a charm at first level creature would save about, I think, a 13 or a 14 on their saving throw. So there's a good chance you're going to get the charm to go through. How do you know if the charm happened? Well, we've always played it that you would just test the reaction of the creature to the one who cast the charm. If suddenly the orc breaks off its attack, doesn't want to continue the attack, and then starts acting in a protective manner toward the person who charmed it, then we took that as a given. Yes, it was charmed. And interestingly, charm person or mammal in this case, I have played a druid a couple of times over the years, and what I will usually do when we get to the point where we're riding horses is I will charm my horse. And my horse with intelligence of 3 or less checks 3 months between charms. In the meantime, I have a very friendly, favorably inclined horse that will go ahead and obey my commands within its best abilities, will let me groom it, will let me care for it without fussing at all. I just think it's a great way for a druid to keep his horse on the same level with him and keep it safe. Some people will say, well, wait a minute, it's an animal, the animal should have free will. Well, yes, but if I'm using it as a horse, then I'm not denying its free will right there. So I may as well make sure that I can do the best I can to protect it while it's working for me, and that, to my mind, is a charm person or mammal. I realize that could be controversial, but it's never been an issue at our table. I mentioned earlier that this is a controversial spell in the earliest days of D&D, and it was because people used to want the person who was charmed to be completely under their thumb and do anything they said, no matter how outrageous or anything. And as we got more mature as role players, we realized that of course, is not what the spell is intended to do. And it's more important that you role play it than just have somebody who has this little robot walking around under their command. So now we'll take a look at the charm monster, or the charm person spell for magic user. Charm person, it's a level 1 spell, enchantment and charm. Range is 120 feet, so greater range than the druid version. Duration is special. Area effect 1 person. Verbal and somatic components, again. 1 segment casting time, much faster than saving throw negates. Except as shown above, the spell is the same as the 2nd level druid spell, charm person or mammal. But the magic user can charm only persons. Brownies, dwarves, elves, gnolls, gnomes, goblins, half-elves, halflings, half-orcs, hobgoblins, humans, kobolds, lizardmen, nixies, orcs, pixies, sprites, and troglodytes. All other comments regarding the spell effects apply with respect to the persons. So again, no component to communicate with the creature is given, and you have to be able to talk to it in a language that it can understand in order to obey commands, or at least pantomime what it is you want. And in this case, the magic user version is a little inferior. It's got greater range and it's a faster casting time, but you cannot charm mammals with it. So you can't charm that attack dog to really, really be your friend and protect you. That's another way we've used a charm person or a mammal at our table, is having an attack dog or a wolf, and then charm it, and then it will become a protector as long as it's cared for and treated properly and fed. It will care for the person who charmed it as if it was a favored person. I want to take a look at one other spell under this blanket, and I realize there are a couple others that I could have taken a look at with this, but I'm going to limit it to just these 3. And this 3rd spell is the Charm Monster spell. This is the 4th level spell. This also enchantment charm, range is 40 feet, levels 4, range is 60 feet, duration special, area of effect special, verbal and somatic, 4 segment casting time, and saving throw negates. This spell is similar to a charm person, but it will affect any living creature, or several creatures of lesser level, as explained hereafter. The magic user casts the charm monster spell, and any affected creature regards the spellcaster as friendly, an ally, or a companion to be treated well or guarded from harm. If communication is possible, the charmed creature will follow reasonable requests. Affected creatures will eventually come out from under the influence of the spell, and the probability of such breaking a charm is a function of the creature's level based on its number of hit dice. And then you have the monster dice or level for the 4th level spell, and then percentage chance per week of breaking the spell. So first up to 2nd is 5% chance. 2nd or up to 3 plus 2 is 10%. 3rd or up to 4 plus 4 is 15%. 4th or up to 6, 25%. 5th or up to 7.2 is 35%. 6th or up to 8 plus 4 rather, is 45%. 7th to 10th level, 60%. 8th up to 12th, that's odd, 75%. 9th or over 12th, 90%. Naturally, overtly hostile acts by the person charming the monster will automatically break the spell, or at the very least, allow the monster a new saving throw versus the charm. The spell will affect 2 to 8 first level creatures, 1 to 4 second level creatures, 1 or 2 third level creatures, or 1 creature of 4th level or higher. Very similar in that regard to a sleep spell. So this is a 4th level spell, so you've got to be up there in levels to cast this guy, 7th level to cast it. But still, it's not bad if you could get yourself, you're attacked by bandits, for instance, and you can charm 2 to 8 of them right there. First 1 hit dice bandits, you at least have people setting up your camp for the next couple of days. So it's an interesting idea. I like that there is a charm monster. I love this spell. Now we're going to take a look at the explanation, the expansion in the Dungeon Master's Guide. The DMG, for its part, did a bunch of expansion explanations of the various spells. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the charm person or mammal on page 43 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. And this will tell us if at the same time the spell is cast, the subject is struck by any spell, missile, or weapon which inflicts damage, the creature will make its saving throw +1 per point of damage sustained. Naturally, this assumes damage inflicted by members of the spellcaster's party. So if I go to cast a spell and my initiative is 6, so my spell at one segment casting time would go off in 7 as my magic user, and one of my party members, while I'm getting ready in the same round, he shoots him with an arrow and does 4 points of damage. Those 4 points will actually work as a +4 saving throw for the target of my spell. I thought that was kind of a neat idea. Remember that a charmed creature or person's priorities are changed as regards the spellcaster, but the charmed one's basic personality and alignment are not. The spell is not enslave person or mammal. A request that the charmee make itself defenseless, or that he or she be required to give up a valuable item or cast a valuable spell or use a charge of a valued item, could allow an immediate saving throw to see if the charm is thrown off in a like manner. Or if the charm is thrown off. In a like manner, a charmed figure will not necessarily tell everything he, she knows or draw maps of the area, that kind of stuff. Charmed figure can refuse the request if such a request is in character and will not directly cause harm to the charmer. Also, a charm spell does not substantially alter the charmee's feelings toward the charmer's friends and allies. The charmed person or creature will not react well to the charmer's allies make suggestions like, ask him about this. This does not mean that he, she, or it will put up with verbal or physical abuse from the charmee's associates. So basically, the charm is for the person who casts the spell, and what we do is we roleplay it at that point, and now you have to talk the creature you've charmed into accepting their place with your party. We don't allow the party members to boss the charmee around or anything like that. It's just a way to handle it. And again, role-playing becomes a big part of it. We're going to take a look at one more thing under here. I love this section in the DMG. And then we're going to take a look at charm person here. It talks again on the DMG about the attacks, any damage in the round it's charmed, giving a bonus to the saving throw, as I've already discussed. And then a charm monster. It is needful to point out this spell does not suddenly empower the caster or his associates with any special means of communication. If you're unable to convey to the charmed creature their instructions, the monster will simply refrain from harming the spellcaster and others in the area. Others in the area, if any, will be subject to its attentions. Similar to charm person, damage inflicted the round that it's cast adds +1 saving throw per point of damage inflicted. So it's straightforward as far as its application, and when you get a saving throw, when you don't get a saving throw, it's very straightforward spell in that regard. It can be a bit of a challenge for a DM, especially a new DM, when you're dealing with the spell early on in the campaign, because, as I said, everybody, in my experience, when we were all new to D&D, everybody wanted this thing to just be your automaton. It would do everything you say, and of course, that's not what the spell does. But what this spell does do very nicely, in my opinion, is promote role-playing. You now have a monster that was trying to destroy you, who is now on your side, but you have to keep convincing it that you're friends and you're looking out for it. So if I have my first level magic user has charmed his orc, and the orc is now part of the party, I have to make sure that the orc is treated well and given consideration as a member of the party. I don't mean I have to give it a full chunk of the treasure or anything, because if I, as the one that charmed it, say, well, you know what, we're going to split this treasure up, but I'll take care of you when we get back to town, that's going to be good enough for the charmed monster. But other people abusing it or bossing it around within the party is not going to fly. And again, I just see the role-playing aspect of this just being a ton of fun. And for that reason, I love this spell. So I know there are other charms in the game. I will take a look at those sometime down the line. But for today, I just wanted to take on Charm Person or Mammal, Charm Person, and Charm Monster. So please let me know what you think. Leave any comments below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. But that's all I've got for now on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.